So the first of our finals, it's the Superminis and Richard Holmes-Williams leading them away from Lawrence Wardle, Tim Cornwall, Jordan Pritchard, Andre Toda, Stephen Brooks in 6th position. 7th for Nathan Smith from Robin Kyle, David Ferns, Robert Corbazan in 10th, Shane Hopkins 11th from Dean Rowland in 12th place. Steve Cornwall, Merchie Vasile, and showing on here Rhys Stevenson and Ryan Tyers, according to the starting list, not taking part in the final, so we shall wait and see on that one. So the way this is lining up, as the mini bikes making their way back to the paddock, the Superminis are about to go out onto the grid. There's 1 or 2 riders here, I believe, will be jumping off one bike straight onto another, if that's right.
Yeah, back to back. So obviously, Rhys Stevenson, if he's got his bike working, he'll be back out, as we just see some getting a piggyback back to the paddock. They've obviously broke down.
Oh, I can see actually from the commentary with Rhys Stevenson, I think has changed his bike immediately.
Yeah, it sounds like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks like he's getting ready to go straight back out. Like we were saying before, Dave, I think sometimes that can be better as well, because you think you're just coming off a race, you're going to be tired, but I don't think it really works like in reality. They're not the longest of races in that sense, so I think...
No, they're not, and it is quite a physical track, though. I must admit, everyone who's I spoke to today, you know, that it's quite hard on the arms. There's no break except for the back, the final straight, so it's pretty full on, but, you know, Rhys Stevenson's how old? He's a young lad, isn't he? He's not like his old blokes.
I think almost because you've done that race, you're almost in the zone, aren't you? And It's like any kind of physical tiredness is going to be overridden by just being nicely warmed up, you might say.
It's got to be good if he's just won a race as well, because your mentality is that
that's it,
I'm going to keep going forward, so hopefully it puts him in a strong position to...
He's just had a camera shot, actually, Rhys Stevenson in the waiting zone, just getting some last-minute instructions. I think there's a brief pause before they make their way...
Probably recovering Gaz's bike.
Oh, yeah, he was right. He was pretty far away, wasn't he? So might be able to see. Can't see any marshals on the track at the moment, but that would certainly explain. Of course, he had that fallen bike out onto the track. Rider is okay, I hasten to add, but I think that was Gary Jacobs, wasn't it, that went down at the top of the track. It wasn't the best spot, so I think they may want to be recovering that bike. Looking at the window at the weather, actually, it's all gone a bit grey and overcast. Is that going to cause a problem or any issues with the setup, would you say?
No, I wouldn't say so. I mean, I must admit, when I walked out the commentary box before, it wasn't as warm as it was earlier. The wind's picked up a little bit, it's cooled down, but like I said, most of these guys, if they get them going quick enough, they've had tyre warmers on. There's going to be plenty of heat on the tyres. Normally, my tyre warmers are at 80 degrees, for example, so when they come out straight on track, you're fine. It just depends on how long they have them sitting for. Some of the guys, speaking, for example, Jordan Pritchard, he likes to go out on his sighting lap and he really pushes hard on his tyres, almost like he's trying to crash to see where his limit is, so that's his style. Some people trickle around and just don't force anything, so it's very different approaches that are taken.
And perhaps for the uninitiated, just to explain, is there an art to what sort of temperature you get the tyres at in the paddock on those tyre warmers?
That's a bit of a black art, that is. Some people don't have temperature gauges on their tyre warmers and some do, but then there's always a multitude of opinions when it comes to what the ideal temperature is, what the ideal tyre pressure is, and that obviously depends on what bikes you're running. Some people will vary their tyre compound, so some of these guys might run an S tyre, whereas I'd run an SS tyre, so I want it slightly softer because I'm not carrying as much speed and getting as much heat in the tyre. Some people like the firmer front, so they'll run a harder tyres because they really do push the front, whereas I don't push the front too hard on mine. So an SS will last me 3 or 4 rounds, whereas some people change the tyres every round. So.
And perhaps another thing to consider as well is when we cast our mind back to last year at Lydd, how hot it was. Of course, it's lovely weather when you're out here spectating when it's beating hot like that, and Pembrey was another one this year as well. Yeah, really hot temperatures. When it's like that, does that cause an issue for you setting up the bike and getting it ready in terms of the tyres and how you run the bike?
Not so much. So if it's really hot, a lot of people, for example, will run an S tyre rather than an SS. It's a slightly harder compound. They might amend their pressures. Some people might run an SS and not run tyre warmers as an alternative example.
I suppose if it's really hot and it's too soft a compound, it perhaps take the edge off.
Yeah, they just get destroyed really quickly. And then also, how do you keep the temperature out of the engine, to keep the engine cool, so people drill holes in their engine covers to let the air in, so that, you know, a lot of people would like lose a stator, for example, or fail stator or something. So yeah, there's just certain things you want to do. You don't want to be sat there revving your engine, getting it overheating and stuff like that either. So just common sense, I would say.
And I suppose perhaps a topical discussion, you're talking about the issues getting fuel nowadays. Do you have any preference like super unleaded or the 95 or 97?
Yeah, I put super in mine. I don't know if that's if you're allowed or not, so they judge me. But some people don't.
So I think the rule is pump fuel normally, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's only pump fuel, not race fuel.
So now with the on the motocross side of things, I much prefer the. I don't know if it's just in my head or what, but just the bike just seems to run a bit better on the higher octane fuel. Just whether it runs cooler, I don't know. But
yeah, I'm not sure. Some people said it's the minerals that are in the petrol and stuff. But you know, last time I filled up, I asked someone else to fill up for me. He put super in for me, so I was like, oh, I've now converted to super. So, but could I get any? No, because they only serve at service stations, didn't sell it at my local Sainsbury's, so or Tesco or other shops are available. So yeah, it's whatever you prefer, really. I think, but I think the preference is to go for super.
I think it's all these little nuances of setting the bike up, really, and perhaps taking it back to how the good thing is though with British mini bikes is essentially you can do these little arts and personal preferences, how you want to set the bike up for yourself and how you want to run the bike, but essentially you can just run out next week and buy a bike from a dealer or second hand and it's going to be somewhere thereabouts the same as everyone else's.
I'd say yeah, to a point. I think if you bike setup, as I've learned this year quite a lot by the things we've been doing in the media and stuff, as you know, you can listen to a lot of advice, and there's a lot of things that you can do that just make a massive difference that you would never have thought of. And it's where you then choose to spend your money. You know, you can spend it on flashy, shiny stuff, or you can put a really expensive rear shock in, and it makes your bike really stable. So there's lots of things to do. Rear sets, thumb brakes, like I said before. Alfano lap timers was one. You know, tracking your time to see how competitive or uncompetitive your times were, and sector by sector overlaying the data. That was something that's taken off. So there's loads of things that you can do, but I think realistically bike setup, having your suspension set up properly by people who know what they're talking about, is going to get you the best time.
And the Alfano thing's a good thing you picked up on there actually. It's one of the things you don't on the TV cameras don't necessarily see easily, but this is effectively like a little dashboard on the bike in effect, isn't it? You'll see if you get some of the close-ups of the bikes around the corners, you may see them. It looks like a little digital dashboard basically.
Yeah, it's a little dashboard. It's just been held on by a little bracket. There's Microns, there's Alfanos. They've really taken off this year because you can
actually
just see them in a little box. They're great because it allows you to see physically what you've done, you know, where you're fast, where you're slow, and you can compare the data with other people as well. So it's just it's a good thing to have in the paddock. And
these are all tailored to the track, aren't they, as well? It's like
they pick it up automatically.
There we see on Waller's bike there is a nice shot, wasn't it? So you can just see just by his elbow that's this little dashboard reading.
He's got Micron 5 on his, so he'll be getting lap time, sector times. It'll be flashing green or plus or minus to see, so he knows how he's performing.
I suppose it allows you to control the race almost, doesn't it, as well? And you know exactly what you're doing. So a lot of technology. It's great to see these bikes close up, isn't it? Sometimes you don't really get there on the when you see them rushing past on the track like this, but there's some really impressive bits of kit here as the Superminis get underway for the final. Oh, nice start there from Wardle. Whoa!
Oh, Jordan's into second, is that?
Yeah, Jordan Pritchard into second. That was a real run there from that second or third row. And Lawrence Wardle getting the jump, but look at this in second place. Jordan Pritchard got away very well out of nowhere.
Yeah, he switched on here. He's got his CRF on 50, so he'll be looking to chase down Lawrence. Obviously, Lawrence is fighting for the championship here, so this is a really important race. He's got, they call him Tractor Boy, but Richard Holmes Williams in third, who he's going to try and get back on track with him because these points are going to be important.
And Jordan Pritchard getting away very aggressively, trying to go for the lead at the end of the first lap. Nice move out of the final corner. Now I wonder if that four-stroke torque maybe helped there. Got a nice line and rolled the power nice and smoothly, and Pritchard into the lead. Yeah,
he took a fantastic line there and just powered underneath him.
Right on cue, he's gone down.
He's held it there. Hopefully he'll get that going.
He's lost the engine, so hopefully he'll get that started up. What happened there? Just the back end just seemed to swap ends on him. It was a bit of a strange one, that.
You know, like I said, Jordan's a fantastic rider. He's normally smooth. He's not a crasher normally. He's obviously taken that corner just a bit too aggressive. He's took the lead and he's pushing on, and the tyres have just let go. But they were stood in the paddock for a long time, so I don't know.
Could that have been an issue? Tyres temperature, or
maybe, unless it looks like.
Is it me, or is it? They look very squirrely on that last corner.
Very tentative. I'm not sure.
It's not raining, is it? There's a low chance of a rain, so I can't see anything, but we can only see what's on the monitor out of the windows here, but they do seem a bit more tentative through those corners. I wonder if it is raining.
Yeah, I mean, the temperatures have dropped. I hope the temperatures have dropped a little bit, but they do look like they're struggling a little bit out there for a bit of grip.
Well, I think Dove's going to have a quick look, I think, and see what that's all about. The riders definitely look. We'll watch them come into this hairpin once again as Dove goes to check the conditions out there. Really ginger into the corner now. Just to explain the commentary point here, it is under the waiting zone area, so we're under that commentary booth, the timing booth, effectively. So we haven't got the luxury. We haven't got the luxury of the rain against the panes of the window, but Dove said there is a bit of rain coming down. Now, that is a surprise because there was, well, we're going to see for yourself here, virtually no chance of rain according to the weather forecast, so a real curveball here in the Superminis final, where we saw the 151 of Jordan Pritchard go down, back end swapping ends on him, and all of a sudden you can see the riders really have the lap times really have dropped, actually, with the riders lapping about the 45, 46 second region, and you can see for yourself around that final corner, really taking it nice and smoothly. So this means a real change here, because the race leader is now the 141 of David Ferns. We seem to have lost a couple of riders there. Tim Cornwall's dropped out of contention as well. So the 141 of David Ferns leading the way. Reece Stevenson second place. Ryan Tyers in third. Andre Toda fourth. Robert Corbazan in fifth position from Richard Holmes Williams, who's gone down to sixth place now. Wardle seventh. And and there's trouble here as now was that one of the leaders going down there? That might have been Ryan Tyers. I think they went down into the tyre wall. Rider appears to be okay. Getting the machine recovered. So, Dove said it was raining. He's gone to check out the track, and everyone being told just to calm things down a bit, I think. And there we see the 151 nightmare race for Jordan Pritchard, who comes off the machine but moves into 10th place because we lost Ryan Tyers. So a dramatic Superminis final here with what appears to be, I'm pretty sure Dave mentioned it was a few drops of rain there, just enough to make things a little bit slippery out there, as Ryan Tyers can afford to wave to the camera despite defeat. And again there, Stevenson will compare this to his previous race. He is a lot more gentle into that final corner than he was. So Stevenson back into the lead. David Ferns, who led the race briefly, drops to second place. They're still motoring, I have to say. The lap times have dropped down to 46, 47, but as you can see for yourself, Reece Stevenson still getting the power down, just starting to get acquainted to the changing track surface here. Andre Toda in third, Robert Corbazan in fourth, Nathan Smith now up to fifth position, so good result for Nathan Smith so far. Just ahead of Richard Holmes Williams. Our early front runner dropping down to sixth place from Robin Kyle, Lawrence Wardle. Jordan Pritchard, as you saw, off the machine last time round in ninth place. And Stephen Brooks running up the top 10. As Stevenson over the line. A lot less aggressive, you'd say, through that chicane, as 7 laps to go, and as we've seen in this Superminis final, it is too close to call. I wouldn't like to make any predictions at this stage because we've got potentially a changing track now. Perhaps when Dave comes up, we'll maybe have to talk about the setup here, where the temperatures have dropped. And at the moment, it doesn't appear to be, when I say rain, it's not chucking it down by any stretch. And like we said, there was virtually no chance of rain on the forecast, but it does appear to be a few drops in the air, and it's enough just to make the track a bit slippery. As Stevenson goes over the line, you may see in the background of his parents there, possibly just giving a signal he's got a big lead. Just telling him to run his own race, not push too hard. And of course there is the risk when the common sense would say just to slow down and take it easy, but I think sometimes when you do that it leads into mistakes as well. It's sometimes just better to get into a nice rhythm, keep repeating the same pace, and Rhys Stevenson doing quite steady at the moment. The lap times really have dropped. He's 45.9 last time round. He's running a good steady pace at the front. David Fearns still second, Andre Toda in third, Corbazan in fourth, as we look at the number 25, the fourth place man on the KTM there, Robert Corbazan. Nathan Smith a little bit further behind. A nice shot here actually of Corbazan. You see the real motocross background of a lot of these Supermini machines based on 85cc bikes, and Corbazan now being closed on by, I think that's Nathan Smith actually. So 55 on the timing charts, but he is very close behind Robert Corbazan. Jordan Pritchard incidentally has improved into 6th position now and starting to close up on Nathan Smith and Robert Corbazan. Lawrence Wardle still 9th, Stephen Brooks 10th place, as we see the number 25 of Robert Corbazan. Nathan Smith just, I think that's, so it's 55 on the timing shops. It looks like Nathan Smith behind him, just closing the gap. Into that corner they go, the riders coping well with the changing conditions, and the lap time starting to drop a bit again now. Rhys Stevenson going down into the 44.7, so certainly seems to have picked up the pace, and the riders just seem to be picking things up a bit now as they partly, of course, get used to the track as it changes, but again, one or two screwy little, the bike swapping ends slightly on the chicane as Nathan Smith just starts to close it up. Oh, and that's second place gone down. David Fearns, who was running so well on that very neat looking Husqvarna, and another one goes. That's one of the Honda 150s. Trying to get the number of that bike, and they're dropping like flies here. That, I think, is 25 Corbazan. Oh, look at this, they are formation. Everyone's dropping out of contention here. Wade Yellow's all the way around the track as Pritchard goes down. Another one in trouble there is the number 6 on the bike. We'll have to say everyone appears to be okay. That's 81 that was that went down. Well, I think we're going to have to... Durf did say it was raining and there's trouble on the chicane. Another rider, 2 or 3 riders have gone down on the back chicane. I can tell you out of camera shot, so we're going to have to rely almost on the lap charts here to see what's going on. That's Wardle that's gone down. We saw him going down straight into the unfortunate David Fearns, who's running so well. I think he's being collected by Lawrence Wardle. Another one in trouble there is the 733 of Shane Hopkins, who was on the edge of the top 10 on that CR85. There you can see for yourself. Look at the camera. There are streaks of rain on that camera. And the race has been red flagged. So, yeah, definitely rain coming down there. We'll perhaps take a pause in a moment just to see what's going on out there. But definitely rain coming down rather unexpectedly. So just give you a bit of weather report from outside. You can see for yourself on some of the camera panes there is rain coming down on the track. It's by no means a rain shower. It's just, or did Peter Kay say, that fine rain that soaks you through. It's just the fine mist coming out on the track. But as you saw for yourself there, it just really has thrown things well and truly out of kilter. We saw 4 or 5 riders going down there. Fortunately, it appears, well, I'm not going to say anything just yet, just in case, but it appears that everyone is unhurt. There was quite a few riders going down. So the race has been stopped. And we were quite close to the finish there. So at the moment, this is just a provisional result on the left-hand side of your screen. It looks like Rhys Stevenson provisionally taking the checkered flag from Nathan Smith. David Fearns in third, although he was off the track. So again, this is just a provisional result. Fearns in third, Corbazan fourth, Todia fifth, Richard Holmes-Williams sixth, Kyle seventh, Pritchard eighth, Wardle ninth, and Brooks rounding out the top 10. And you may see, of course, you have the 1 lap count back when the red flag goes out. So it looks like Stevenson's going to be the provisional winner. Ferns in second, Smith third, Corbizan fourth, Todier fifth, and Richard Holmes Williams. So a dramatic end to the Superminis final. Just a few moments down in the waiting zone whilst riders get ready for the next race. So Rhys Stevenson, your provisional winner of the Superminis final. David Fern second, Nathan Smith third, Robert Corbizan fourth, Andrea Toda fifth, Richard Holmes Williams in sixth, Robin Kyle, Jordan Pritchard, Stephen Brooks, Lawrence Wardle in 10th position. We're going to take a pause for a few moments, and pit bike spares, mini bike 160 coming up in just a few moments.